This week on Inside Drag Racing, we'll be taking you backstage to follow the Agave Underground Tequila team as they battle for Wally's in Las Vegas, Nevada. But first, let's recap drivers Danny Rowe and Steve Matusik's journey through the 2014 NHRA Pro Mod season.
I was very fortunate that Jimmy Rector had been tuning a lot of really fast cars, but at that time wasn't really happy in the position that he was in. And so I flew down to meet him at a racetrack down in Jackson. We sat on the guardrail and we talked about, what we're both looking for out of a program. And probably within 20 minutes or 30 minutes, we realized it was a great fit. And we went literally from there to walking across the pits and found a car that we liked. And we actually purchased a car right at the same spot. And it's been a great team. Jimmy Rector's an amazing man.
At the end of the last year, I just started to develop a relationship with Danny Rowe and his team and Jimmy Rector, and the question came up about, possibly driving the second car, and initially I thought they were joking.
First, let's go to Houston, Texas, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Spring Nationals, where he defeated Danny Rowe, then Ricky Smith, and faced Mike Castellana in the semifinal round. Castellana's hole shot 0.39 beat out Danny's 0.78, but Danny managed to get a good jump in the points. Take a look at just how close it was at the finish line. Also in Houston, teammate Steve Matusik took out Pete Farber in the first round. He beat Don Walsh's turbocharged car in the second round and faced Mike Janis, a supercharged entry out of New York, in the third round. Turned on the red light, went red, but again, a good number of points. Now let's move to the Gator Nationals in Gainesville, Florida. In round number 2, unfortunately, teammates would have to meet. Danny Rowe and Steve Matusik give the whole shot to Danny Rowe, and the quicker ET, his 591, beat out Steve Matusik's 599. Again, though, both accumulated valuable points. Then Rowe advanced to the semifinal round, once again picking up valuable points where he would face defending champion Tricky Ricky Smith. Ricky with a whole shot 0.41 to a 0.85. Danny Rowe loses with a 5.88, 248 miles per hour. Now moving on to Atlanta, Georgia, the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Southern Nationals in Commerce, where Steve Matusik in round number 2 would face Kevin Fiskus. Had a great hole shot, but then out of it. Problems with the engine. Kevin Fiskus late with a 116 reaction, wins with a 598. Danny Rowe beat Stephen Whiteley in the same round. Then in the semi-final, he had to face Tricky Ricky Smith one more time. Ricky, 583 to Danny Rowe's losing 594 after Danny had the whole shot this time, 052 to 082. Moving on now to Englishtown, New Jersey, where in round number 1, Eric Latino would face Steve Matusik. Matusik had the whole shot 0.77, but had to lift and shut down due to tire shake. Latino drove by with a 740. Also at Englishtown, Danny Rowe qualified number 4, where he would face Clint Satterfield in round number 1. Perfect reaction time, 0.00, but then lost as the car slowed and Satterfield clocked a 6.29. Moving on to Bristol, Tennessee, the Ford NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals, where Danny Rowe once again qualified number 4 against Pete Farber, but turned on the red light with a minus 0.16, allowing Farber to advance and eventually win the event.
It just is frustrating. It's a stupid move, and I gotta apologize to everybody, and we gotta make this back up. We had a chance here, and we really screwed it up, so it's all on the driver.
But Steve Matusik did very well. First of all, in the first round, he beat Tricky Ricky Smith, the champion. Everybody was happy about that. In the second round, he took out Mike Castellani. In the third round, Mike Janis to advance to the final, where he would lose to Pete Farber. Farber with a 6.08 to Steve Matusik, slowing 6.97. Then moving on to Summit Racing Equipment Raceway Park, Norwalk, Ohio, the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals, where it was deja vu Bristol all over again. Pete Farber and Steve Matusik. Matusik hoping to get revenge this time, but it was not to be, as Pete Farber turned in a spectacular 5.97 to Matusik's losing 6.01 in round number 2. Then in the very next race in round number 2, Vaughn Smith and Danny Rowe. Rowe qualified number 1 at that event, was the odds-on favorite, but Vaughn Smith with a great 0.37 had a whole shot on Danny. His 5.93 beats out Danny's 5.92. Then at the big go, the Chevrolet Performance NHRA Nationals, Indianapolis, the one everybody wants to win, round number 1. Tricky Ricky Smith would face Danny Rowe. A little bit of a burn down on the starting line. Gonna give the win to Tricky Ricky Smith. 589 beats out a 591.
You know, it's a shame Danny's out. We had a plan. It almost worked to perfection. We were going to try, hoping that all first 4 guys ahead of us in the points were going to get taken out, and got 3 of them out, and just, that stubborn Ricky Smith couldn't get him out. But we're doing okay, and I'm pretty excited about carrying the flag.
But partner Steve Matusik would take out Vaughn Smith in the very next run with a great hole shot and a 596 victory. Round 2, he faced his old nemesis, Pete Farber, once again, and once again, it was Pete Farber, 592 to a 6 flat. Farber had the hole shot 044 to a 065. Then on to Charlotte, North Carolina, the Pep Boys NHRA Carolina Nationals, where Mike Janis would face Steve Matusik. Matusik could go to the final, but he had problems about halfway down. Janis picks up the win with a 590 to Matusik losing 844. Then the other semifinal teammate Danny Rowe would face Troy Coughlin, the turbocharged car. Rowe 588 with a 0, Coughlin 588 with a 1, but Coughlin had the hole shot to pick up the win, go to the finals, and eventually win the event. Moving on to St. Louis now as things get tied in the points. Vaughn Smith and Steve Matusik would meet in round number 1, the number 8-9 qualifiers. Off the starting line, Matusik with problems right away. Even though he had a great hole shot over Vaughn Smith, the car let him down. The other first round would feature Danny Rowe and Todd Tutterow. Tutterow with a great hole shot 027 to a 056. Rowe with problems had to slow to an 818. Both the Agave cars go out in round number 1. Welcome back to Inside Drag Racing. Jimmy Rector, the crew chief for both these cars. What do you know? What these tell you when you look at the spark plugs?
I was just looking to see how much heat each cylinder had on it. Shouldn't have had too much. I went up there like a little coyote and went down. When you don't get in the first shot, you have to back it way down. So I just making sure none of them was too hot because I'm going to warm them all up tomorrow.
Now, wait a minute. 598 is not backing down.
I went 587 2 years ago here. Come on.
And with that, let's take a look at what did happen in qualifying round number 2. We'll see what Jimmy's talking about. So in this qualifying round, Shane Molinari, a newcomer to the NHRA Pro Modified Circuit, would be the guy to face up against Danny Rowe. Now remember, this is just qualifying. It doesn't really matter who wins. The idea is to get the quickest ET that you possibly can. Only the quickest 16 cars will make it into the finals. Shane Molinari, also a supercharged car, a 1975 Camaro, newer model than Danny Rowe's car, out of the state of Washington. Both cars staging very carefully. Again, remember, it doesn't matter who wins. It's all about the ET. Great reaction time, by the way, for Molinari with a 047. Rowe took his time. Good ET. He would qualify number 4 in the field for this round with a 598, 241.67 miles per hour. Molinari, once again, would probably not make the field. He only went a 649 at 229. Now, in that same qualifying round, Steve Matusik, the other Agave Underground Tequila car, would have to face up against Todd Tutterow, very experienced driver, been door slammer racing for many, many years. Both cars staging very carefully. Watch for Tutterow. He's very quick on the lights. Once again, though, reaction time means nothing in qualifying. It's all about the ET, which stands for elapsed time in drag racing. 008 reaction for Tutterow. He'll be tough in eliminations. Meanwhile, Steve Matusik, 6:02, 241 miles per hour, to Tutterow slowing 6:09, 236 miles per hour. So that's the way it went in this qualifying session for the Agave Underground Tequila team. Okay, what did you do to the cars? Both cars, you went up and did some kind of an adjustment right before the stage.
Yeah, I just backed both of them down. I mean, engine RPM, you know, actually put a little clutch because I knew it was going to merge. Just slowed them down. I mean, I think that went 101, 60 foot. Should run 96. That's 500 right off. But, you know, when you don't get in the first shot, that's the way it goes. And if I'd have just left them alone, the track probably cooled off enough they'd have went down, but I didn't want to lay down tonight and not be in. So
well,
they're both in, and, you know, it's going to cool off way tomorrow. I'm going to say it'd take 95 to even get in here tomorrow, though. So, you know, we just got a whole different day tomorrow. I just got here with my head up my ass today, and that's, you get behind and that's where it goes.
Well, now you're in, but your teammate gets the 98.
You know, I'm just glad we got in. That was a tough run. I mean, it shook the tires, picked the front end up, went right, was about ready to lift, so finally calmed down and straightened out. But hey, you're right, we're in, you know, and hopefully we run better tomorrow. We got some data. You know, Danny went a 98, and that was slow early, so I really think we got something to work with, and Jimmy's kind of really chomping at the bit to get at the cooler weather tomorrow.
Inside Drag Racing is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in racing fastener technology. And by Agave Underground, 100% agave tequila. And by Aeromotive, we know it, we race it, we live it. Welcome back to Inside Drag Racing as we continue to cover the Agave Underground Tequila team, Danny Rowe and Steve Matusik. But I understand they brought in a heavy hitter to help them get qualified and win this event. Okay, now, I know you guys want to win this race. So you're bringing in some heavy-duty stuff that knows all about superchargers?
Well, we're bringing in the big guns. We're not going to leave anything on the table, so we figured we'd bring in a legend and take it to the guys.
Did you ever mess much with alcohol or just nitro?
I've run probably everything from gasoline all the way up, so I've done it all. But this class here is to me is the new excitement now to me, and I'd like to see all of the associations push this class because this is real entertainment to me. I love watching these cars, and then all you've got these great new sponsors coming in and everybody. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of taking interest in with our magazines that we have. We're going to get behind it and push it big.
In the next qualifying round, Danny Rowe would have to face his old nemesis, Mike Janis. Janis high in the points. Remember, there are special points awarded for qualifying in the NHRA Pro Modified circuit. So although there's not a win and a lose on the qualifying rounds, where you qualify can make a difference in the points. The higher you qualify, the more points you get. At this point, Danny Rowe desperately needs points. So does Mike Janis. Danny Rowe goes red. Now, red light doesn't matter in qualifying. It's all about the elapsed time. Janice has problems, forced to lift and shut it down. Rowe, 597 with a 244.54 miles per hour will qualify him number 12 at this event. Then in that same qualifying round, teammate Steve Matusik would have to face the supercharged entry of Vaughn Smith. Dr. Moon's Rage. A lot of power for the legendary Dr. Moon. But remember, Steve Matusik's crew chief is shared with Danny Rowe. Jimmy Rector, who is just as famous and just as crafty with a supercharged car on methanol alcohol. A good shot of Danny Rowe as he stages the Aeromotive-sponsored Agave Tequila car. Then Alan Abbey car leaves first. Vaughn Smith was 0.51, but remember, reaction time doesn't matter. Vaughn Smith qualifies better with a 592 240 to Steve Matusik's very respectable 598 243 miles per hour. The bad news, though, 598 is not quick enough to get you in the field at Las Vegas. Unbelievable.
You know, the run was actually uneventful. I mean, the car didn't do anything. It was smooth. It went straight on down the racetrack. Didn't quiver the tire. I guess apparently we just didn't have enough in it. I mean, we were just trying to get down, and it's been a tough weekend. And I mean, the car behaved very well. It just wasn't fast enough.
Well, with this weather change, it was a guessing game.
It was. I mean, but we got, you know, with Jimmy on our side, I mean, he's been through this, and I got to tell you, I was really expecting to run about a 91 or a 92. I mean, we've done it before. Had no reason to expect we wouldn't do it again. It just didn't turn out that this time.
All right, so now you got to carry the Gavi flag.
Yeah, you know, it's really, really unfortunate. Steve Matusik's a great guy. Everybody from Aeromotive have been really supportive, and you know, it's really a tough spot for us to be in. But all our people are here from Agave Underground, Tequila, and we're going to go out there and do what we have to do. You know, Ricky's done a great job all year, but it's time to send him home early. There's a lot of little blood, you know, boiling here. We got to do our job out there and go out and race him real hard. He's done a great job, but we got a great race car.
I know a certain turbocharged car that would agree with you on that.
I think everybody over at the Jags.com situation would love for us to put him away early as well. So we're going to do our part and do everything we can to go out there and race hard and try to bring one home.
Inside Drag Racing is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in racing fastener technology. And by Agave Underground, 100% agave tequila. And by Aeromotive, we know it, we race it, we live it. Back on Inside Drag Racing as we continue to cover the Agave Underground tequila team. Jimmy Rector, the crew chief. All right, you got Danny Rowe in. What do you learn looking here at the computer from that last run?
It was way slow early. I mean, 60 foot was right there with everybody. Then if I hadn't had a great driver, wouldn't even qualified. He shook his ass off and he stayed in it. But just track completely different. Yesterday was too fast. Then I come out here today and a lot better hour. You think you're going to gain it. I was just way slow. I mean, bottom line's way slow.
What do you do? What do you change on the car now?
Well, it's easy to hop it up. I had plenty to hop it up. So
You got more.
Oh, yeah, it's got more. It's just a matter of putting it to the ground. I mean, the 88 Ricky ran, we got to run him first round. So, I mean, we going out there and running 80s, or we're not going to go 2 feet. So.
Now, in the first round of eliminations at Las Vegas, tragedy struck. Watch this. Danny Rowe, the only Agave Tequila car to qualify for the field, Steve Matusik looking on, would have to race the champion, Ricky Smith. who needs to win this round desperately to lock up his second championship in a row. Ricky's daughter-in-law looking on. Tricky Ricky off the line for a 0.62 to a 0.66. Rowe has to lift. Tricky Ricky blows an intake, a nitrous explosion. Danny Rowe has got to be sick at this sight. Boy, what happened out there?
You know, the car just went out there, you know, lifted the front end up real high and kind of turned to the left, and no matter what I did, I wasn't dragging it back. The front wheels were off the ground, and, you know, it just, you know, you're going out there and trying to run a big number and put a lot of horsepower to the racetrack, and the racetrack's fantastic. It went up there and picked the front end up and just couldn't bring it back, unfortunately.
And Ricky lifts an intake.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what sucks. It hurts real bad, you know. Unfortunately, these cars are so violent nowadays. You know, we'll go out there and try to pedal or do something stupid. You're kind of taking your life in your own hands, and it's better to bring the equipment back safely than it is to go out there. But it really does kind of suck to watch him go out there. And I see the intake came off the car as he's crossing the finish line, and it kind of hurt me. You know, I really thought we had a chance of beating him there. And we were actually ahead of him by 60 foot, but, you know, that's racing. That's the way it goes.
Okay, well, on to the banquet. We'll see where you finished in the points.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks a lot for everything.
We covered the race in Nevada here at Las Vegas as the final race for the Real Pro Mod Association. And our two racers, sponsored by Agave Underground Tequila, were part of that too. Let's take a look. Well, after a year with two Pro Modified cars, how do you like this deal?
I love this deal. I'm so proud of our drivers. I'm proud of the whole team. It's an honor to be part of the whole Danny Rowe Racing.
And you know what? The way the cars were painted and their pit area and everything, no question who they were sponsored by.
Well, we love that part. Of course, we're trying to build a brand behind it, but you know, it's always a team effort, and we're proud to be part of it.
A little bit emotional for us. Steve Engle was a big man with a big heart, is the award. He personified everything Steve Engle did that's great about the Pro Modified class. So Danny, if you would do us the honor, this year's recipient of the Steve Engle Award is
Mr. Steve Matusik.
Steve initially told Wes and I that this needed to be 95% about him. Well, Steve, for the next couple minutes, 100% about you. Step right up.
Jeez. Thank you, appreciate it.
Congratulations.
I don't know what to say. I usually don't have this problem. I didn't know Steve. Heard a lot about him. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. This is a special night. I'm going to cherish this and appreciate all you guys, and really looking forward to doing this all again next year. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to Steve Matusik and the entire Agave Underground Tequila team. That's all the time we have this week for Inside Drag Racing. Join us again next week for more Inside Drag Racing. I'm Ted Jones. So long, everyone.